And with that, we welcome you to our presentation tonight. Good evening. I'm Mark Pinto here with you at Phoenixville Public Library. I'm the Director of Adult Services here. Welcome to our latest Zoom presentation. Our program tonight is for those of you considering a kitchen upgrade. Maybe one is in the cards for the new year for you. Well, we're pleased to have with us tonight Liz Walton, Phoenixville area resident, locally acclaimed design leader, certified kitchen designer, that's what the CKD after her name there is, and CEO of full service luxury interior design firm, Liz Walton Home. Liz, welcome, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to present to our patrons.
Mark, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting, especially to present to my own community. So this is fantastic. I'm really happy to be here. So tonight we are talking about captivating kitchens, designing for a new era. So I've been in this business for almost 20 years, which is kind of hard to believe. I am a Schuylkill Township resident, so we actually live up on Valley Forge Mountain. I have 2 kids. My son is 11, my daughter's 9. They attend Phoenixville schools. I have a very large dog, so I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram. He's always on there. And we enjoy a lot of outdoor activities, but really I'm so super passionate about kitchens. And I got started, I went to school at Drexel. So I'm a Drexel University grad. So I'm actually formally trained. You will find, as many of you probably already know, most designers aren't designers, they're decorators, but I have formal training. So I know how to draft, measure, I deal with contractors all day long and speak the language. So really, what we do is very technical. It's not fluffy and picking out colors all day. That's probably 1% of my job. Really, I call myself a capable problem solver. It's like putting puzzle pieces together all day long. And one of the reasons I love kitchens so much is because they're very technical and they take a lot of precision and time and details. So that's just something that I've really enjoyed doing all this time. And so we're kind of like the queens of kitchens. We really enjoy them. So I hope that you enjoy my presentation tonight. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, but I did leave time for questions at the end. So I encourage you to write anything down, and I'm an open book. So I'm happy to answer anything at the end of the presentation. So tonight, our learning objectives are pretty simple. Does the triangle still exist? So a lot of you might be familiar with the triangle of the kitchen. If you're not, we're going to talk about it. Things have certainly changed even from when I started, and they're really changing now. So it's kind of an interesting time to be in business and or considering your own renovation. Defining work zones. So work zones are new-ish, and we're going to talk a lot about that. It's a huge part of my job, and it's a huge part of kitchen design. Knowing your client's needs or knowing your own needs, if this is for yourself, very important. It's all about appliances. Appliances are huge, and we're going to talk a lot about appliances. Design tips and tricks. I've been doing this a really long time, and I have found some things that really are helpful to people, or they say, I never would have thought of that. Common mistakes, and then the future of kitchens. Okay, so we're going to jump right into decoding the work triangle. So the work triangle was actually developed in the early 20th century. So this has been around for a really long time. And quite simply, it connects the sink, the range, and the fridge. And this was a really kind of revolutionary thing to talk about because everything is adjacent to each other. So the cook can be kind of doing multiple things at the same time. The triangle has no more than 9 feet, no less than 4 feet in between. So you'll see this kitchen, this is a pretty standard kitchen. So years ago, kitchens were much smaller than they are today. We didn't have islands, we weren't hosting huge things. The kitchen was very utilitarian. So the triangle was very important. I learned about it at school. This was how you do kitchens because you don't want anything too far away. The triangle was based on the traffic flow, so you wanted everything within an arm's reach. And it was really based on one dedicated person preparing all of the meals. So again, this is really not how life has evolved. So there's nothing wrong with it, but we've kind of evolved past it. And like I said, no element should block the flow. So there weren't islands, there wasn't a lot of seating. What's really interesting is if you go to an older home, or maybe you live in one, or if you go to a historical home, the kitchens were small. That was kind of where, especially if they were affluent, that's where the wait staff would do all of their prep. So kitchens were completely different than they are now. So today we design much differently, and we are working in work zones. So this is actually a kitchen that we recently recently installed this past summer. So zones are, food prep is now a family affair. So if you have a family, kids, you entertain, just about everything is happening in the kitchen. It's magnetic. Everybody wants to be in there. You want to entertain, you want to eat, you want to cook, you want to have a glass of wine. Kids are doing homework, they're doing projects, crafts, you name it. Most things are happening in the kitchen. Kitchens aren't not just for cooking, right? Zones help define the spaces based on use. So you'll see here, and this was not an overly large kitchen, but we were very thoughtful in what we were doing. So along here, this is a breakfast bar area, and I'm going to explain to you why we did all of these things. This is a really large island. So this is kind of like the entertaining zone. This back wall is meal prep. So this is really the workhorse of the kitchen back here. And then this section over here is dedicated to dining. This worked out really well because my clients, they have 2 small kids and they both work and they both love to cook and they entertain a lot. So it was really important when we were getting to know them, what their needs were. So here, this is an exterior wall. So this was great because before there was a wall here, the range didn't vent out. There was no ventilation. So right off the bat, we put the range and the hood on the exterior wall. This little thing on the wall here is a pot filler. We made sure that everything was venting directly outside. And then they have all of this great countertop. They have a sink here and then the refrigerator. So really, you can kind of slide down the line here without really getting in anyone else's way. The microwave is here. So this is a quick pivot, but they don't microwave all the time. So that was great that it didn't have to interfere over here. So now we've got entertaining. So this comfortably sits 5 people, this is a big island, and big islands are back. I'll say that. Lots of storage. So there's storage all along this island. There's even storage underneath of the microwave drawer. And on these end cabinets, you'll see in photos, these open, you access them from here and from here. So this is shallow storage. And I'm a big fan of shallow storage because it's the perfect place to store water bottles, dry food goods like cereals, rice, pasta, because it doesn't get shoved all the way in the back. Like food isn't going to go here to die. You open it up, you access it, it's right there. And then behind you, this is the breakfast bar / baking center. So their dining room is back here. So when they entertain, or if they're entertaining over here, their guests can come and help themselves to a cup of coffee, tea. We have refrigeration over here. Somebody can grab themselves a beer and they aren't interfering with what's happening over here in the work zone. And really the beauty of it is the kids come in from here. And because we have refrigeration over here, the kids can make themselves a bagel. They can do waffles. They can make themselves cereal in the morning while mom is prepping dinner already. So this really is super functional for this family. So here you'll see the elevations of how this kitchen really transpired. And elevations are really important. You'll see there's a lot of dimensions. So everything has a purpose. It's one thing to plan in plan view, and that's where we start. So we start with the footprint. And once we have a really good idea of, okay, these are our defined zones, then we can start developing these elevations, and elevations take a long time. So we talked about drawers. Also, your cabinet maker and your contractor are going to need dimensions. So not everybody can read elevations, but you need them to build the kitchen. So this is really what's happening here. This is a paneled refrigerator, trash, sink, dishwasher, storage, and you'll see all of this in photos. The hood, all of these cabinets are numbered because we ordered the cabinets. So the cabinet number associates to the cabinet list. So everything is really dual purpose. So when we're designing a kitchen, we're not just thinking of the client, we're thinking of all of the other people that are involved in making this project happen. So it's the contractor, it's the countertop people, it's the tile, it's the electrician, it's the cabinet manufacturer. So there's a lot of reasons as to why you need your drawings to be really detailed. We also provide 3-dimensional color renderings. So the color renderings are amazing because people can really visualize what their kitchen's going to look like. And we can give them different iterations. So this kitchen went through a couple color iterations before we landed on this. So this is our rendering and this is what it actually looks like in real life. So it's pretty darn close, which is, it's fun. A little trick here is because we were on an exterior wall, it backs up to the garage, we didn't have any windows. So we put a mirror over the sink to kind of imitate a window. Okay, this is another kitchen with zones. So this is a much larger house, but I wanted you to see how this relates to the other parts of the house, the living area. So, and you can create any zones that you want, but it's important to have them. So this was a renovation. So here we've got this family room. This is a deck out here. So this section over here is entertaining because it's easy access to outside and it's easy access to the family room. Once again, we have all of our utilities. So this is where all of our refrigeration, double oven, steam oven, wine, it's all happening right here. And then here we have meal prep. So we've got sink here, and this is our range and hood. This yellow, it's hard to read. This is all pantry. So this is dedicated pantry because you'll see there's not a lot of walls in this kitchen. So we needed a place to put food. And then this was a closet. So we carved out this closet and created another coffee bar, breakfast bar area. And it turned out great. And then over here is dining. So you'll see how everything is kind of separate, but it all relates to the flow of the house. And again, the idea is that you don't have this log jam of people, not even when you're entertaining, but just in your day-to-day life of your flow. When everybody's in there, you don't want to be knocking people out of your way.
Liz, sorry to interrupt. There's a couple of questions that came up in the chat that are pertinent to a couple of your slides that you've just shown.
Yep. I see. What are the room dimensions in slide 5? Let me go back here. Whoop. Can I go back? I'd have to pull them up. I don't have it. I think I took them off so that I could label it. Let me see if they're on this. So it's 178 from width, and the overall is 290. So if I go, oh, where's my cursor here? From this wall to this wall is 178. And then from here all the way over here is 290. And we did remove interior walls. And in this one, they do not have a dedicated pantry. No, so all of their storage is in the island here. And they have pantries, you'll see in this photo. Let me see. This is pantry space. So this is their breakfast bar. So this actually opens, this is bifold here, and it's full of outlets on the inside. And so that's where the mixer lives, the toaster, the coffee pot. This is beverage. We have another trash. These are tray dividers over here, and then these are pantries. So pantry is not maybe in the sense of a framed wall, but they do have pantry. And then also they have more storage over here in this dining area. So this is overflow. She put linens. This was seasonal. And then the drawers underneath of this built-in bench seat, functional as well. I hope that answered your questions.
Great, thanks.
So this is, we took this from plan, and then you'll see this is what that kitchen looked like at the end of the day. So I think this is a great example of there's a lot going on when you look at it in the plan, but in real life, it's light and bright, and I think it feels really cohesive. There's a ton of appliances in this kitchen, but it doesn't feel like it's crammed, if that makes sense. This is their beverage. I mean, we really took a lot of time to make sure that it didn't feel heavy, which that can easily happen when you have a lot of, especially the tall appliances. Oh, the legs, yes. So we did skirting here. So the legs get screwed into this skirting piece. And my cabinet company, and then that returns on the sides. They kind of build it like a tabletop. So it's structurally sound. These aren't just floating off into space. If you took this countertop off, this almost looks like a tabletop. And then as you'll see here, again, we didn't have a ton of cabinet space in here. We put shallow storage underneath of the stools for her seasonal items. So we're very conscious of using every inch of available space. And I love to point out that you cannot discount the shallow storage, because sometimes I think shallow storage is even more valuable than deep. So this is a couple views from that kitchen. So this is the pantry. So this was a tiny little closet that we maximized space. So these cabinets down here, these are only 15 inches deep, but nothing gets lost. I mean, we used every inch of this. And then these shelves are 12 inches deep. So as you can see, we did a lot with a small space to maximize all of their storage and fit all of their needs. Over here, this is a plaster hood. This wall could feel heavy very quickly, so we kept open shelves here. There is under cabinet lighting on these shelves. This is a spice pullout. One is a utensil. This is an induction range, which is really cool. And then over here, this is that coffee bar area. So this is a coffee maker. We have trash hidden in here. We got really kind of clever with, and you'll see here, this is where all those small appliances live. So they're out of the way. All right, so knowing your client's needs. This is probably the most important part of my job, and I think the most important part of any design process, whether you're doing it for yourself or not. And sometimes I think it's harder when you're doing it for yourself. So the first thing to do is you have to ask a ton of questions. We take a lot of time up front getting to know our family. Every kitchen is different. Even if the footprint is the exact same as another kitchen I've done, it's a different family, which means it's going to be a different layout. So you have to ask a lot of questions. Determining the budget is huge. Kitchens can be very, very expensive. So you want to make sure that you're putting your money where it's really important to you. So what do you value? Appliances are very expensive. There's not a lot of things to skimp on in a kitchen because there are so many materials that are permanent. It's not like a throw pillow. So it's one of those things where you are going to spend a lot up front, but it's going to last you another 30 years. Pain points. So this is kind of getting to know your client. What's really not working? And most of the time, as soon as I walk in the door, people just start telling me how terrible their space is, what's not working. So they're really pretty, but it has to function. So if it doesn't function, I didn't do my job. Doors versus drawers. This is a really big conversation that we talk a lot about. It's a lot of times you'll see kitchens, there's a combination of doors and drawers. There is value for all of it. So this goes back to getting to know our client. Where is their KitchenAid mixer going to go? What makes sense to put in drawers and what makes sense to put behind closed doors? So I've had people that put everything in drawers because it's more ergonomic. So you have to take a lot of time considering all of their items, and some people have really odd things that you have to make sure that you account for. I've measured people's antique flatware. I've measured placemats to make sure that it fits. So anything can be done. You just have to have patience and plan correctly for it. Discuss accessories. So these are things, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this. This is like spice pullouts, trash pullouts. Many of these things are standard these days. Soft close hinges are standard on most cabinets. When I started, that was an upgrade. That was something really special. And then inset versus frameless. I could probably do a whole other webinar on inset versus frameless, but they're two completely different types of cabinets. This photo here is inset cabinets. Just to briefly, they are surrounded by a frame, 1.5 inch frame, and the door sits flush with that frame, versus full overlay frameless, which is European, and you do not see any frame of the cabinet. Full overlay frameless is less expensive than framed inset. So that's just something to know. Some people have no idea what the difference is, and other people know exactly what they want. Okay, so these are valuable accessories. Most of these we put in every single kitchen, regardless. But there are so many available that I think you have to be really careful not to specify things just because it's cool. A lot of them, they don't work as well as they seem. So you always want to put your money where it's worth. And that's part of my job, part of your job if you're designing a kitchen, is to know what would actually works, the products that are good. So a utensil pullout, we do this in I think 99% of our kitchens. It gets all of those items off of the countertop, those ladles, spoons, spatulas, and they sit inside of 3 stainless steel containers. You can take the containers out and wash them. They have these nice little guides here so that the ladles and spatulas aren't flopping over. And then you still have storage underneath. This is also a great spot for tinfoil, saran wrap, Ziploc bags. So all of that can be used. This is probably one of the things that my clients love the most. Spice pullout, many of you are probably familiar with this, but this is really popular because it's easy to do. It creates organization for an otherwise cabinet that can become very disorganized. I think I speak from personal experience of have spices from 10, 15 years ago. Everything is out and it's valuable. And then here you have space on the bottom for oils, cooking spray. The shelves are adjustable so that you can really tailor them to fit your needs. Tray dividers, we love tray dividers. They go in every kitchen, but sometimes we put them horizontally. If you want to stick cooking trays, we'll have multiples. If you want cutting boards, one for cutting boards, one for cooking trays. So that's something that we really think is valuable. Where I like to steer clear of are, and I didn't show them because I don't want to put ideas in your head. Pullouts for tall cabinets, they get very heavy and they're very heavy on doors, and they cannot handle the weight for long periods of time. So that's something that you're setting yourself and your client up for failure. So there's a lot of really cool things floating around on Pinterest and Houzz, but real life is a different story. So just make sure that you you know what you're specifying. Okay, appliances rule. So I learned very early on when I was getting my certification to be a certified kitchen designer, appliances drive the entire design, and I don't think that will ever change. It doesn't matter how many there are, it's our job to fit them. Now we can tell if it's a really small kitchen. I'm going to tell somebody you can't get a 48-inch refrigerator or a 60-inch range. There's no space. So it is part of our job to guide the clients as to what they can get. So once they get something, it's our job to make sure that they work. So appliances drive the entire design. That's the first place where we start, the first conversation we have. Appliances right now, I'm sure that you've heard, high-end appliances, Thermador, Sub-Zero, they are 10, 11 month lead time. So right now, when we're doing our kitchens, I don't talk about nothing, colors, I don't care. I need to know your appliances. We have to get them ordered and we have to design around them. So some really popular appliances. Obviously there's a refrigerator, but there are lots of different kinds of refrigerators. So this goes back to asking your clients lots of questions, because they're going to look to you to know a lot about a lot of things, and appliances is one of them. They're going to say, well, do I want a French door? Do I want a side-by-side that's shown here? Do I want drawers? Do I want panels? What kind of handles do I want? So it's part of my job is to guide people. Refrigerators in particular, I think, are very personal. I have a side-by-side. I love a side-by-side. But I have people that they love the bottom drawer. So you can guide people to a point. They're not going to make a mistake. But I think you have to encourage people to get what they like and what works for them. The other thing with appliances, I think, is information, maybe misinformation. Stainless steel versus paneled. Many people say, well, the panels are more expensive, but that's not true. Regardless of whether you buy a stainless steel refrigerator or a panel, you have to buy the panels. So you either purchase the stainless steel panels or you purchase the panels from the cabinet maker. So you're going to pay for panels at some point. It just depends on the look. Range. So you want to talk about, do they want a range? Do they want a cooktop? Do they want induction? Do they want a range top? There's a lot to talk about there. So that's really a loaded question. And this also plays into ergonomics and space. If you have a small kitchen, you're not going to want to do a cooktop with double ovens because you don't have the space. You're going to need everything to go into a range. The induction is very popular. Kitchens are really starting to go to induction because they're safe. The downside is you'd have to buy new pots and pans if you don't already have stainless steel. Induction is safe because you cannot burn yourself. It heats the unit, it doesn't heat the surface. So if you have a toddler running around and they put their hand on the induction while it's on, they're not going to burn themselves. Stainless steel currently, no, there is no most popular. Everybody's different. It's so personal. I have people that want stainless. I have other people that say, no, I don't want to deal with the fingerprints. So I think stainless and panels will always be around. So you cannot make a mistake there. Okay, so there's lots of different kinds of ranges. Ranges come in all different sizes, except induction. The largest induction is 36 inches. So if somebody wants anything over 36, then you're gonna have to go to gas or electric. They're also gonna wanna know dual fuel. Electric is better for baking, gas is better for cooking. So the higher end appliances offer dual fuel, which is nice. Microwaves have now migrated under the counter. We do most microwave drawers. So they're really convenient, they're ergonomic. This is what they look like. Dishwasher, I almost always insist that we panel the dishwasher because I can hide it. I can never hide a refrigerator, whether it's paneled or not. It's always going to look like a refrigerator. Dishwashers I can hide really easily, so I always panel those. Dishwashers also, if they're stainless steel, maybe this is because I have a dog. You don't just get fingerprints, but you get nose prints. So, and if you have little people, they're right at fingerprint level. And then these are so these are your majors: refrigerator, microwave, range, dishwasher. This is really what you need to get by. But then there are so many other things that have become really super popular, and we're specified. I just had a meeting today, and I think they're getting all of these things. So these are refrigerator drawers. Refrigerator drawers are amazing because it's a second set of refrigeration. When we have very large kitchens, a lot of times the refrigerator is kind of out of the way. So that goes back to that triangle. So we'll put refrigerator drawers. Again, I can hide them, I can panel them, that are near the cooking surface or the sink. These are fantastic. Refrigerator drawers are great for milk, cheese, yogurt, a lot of the butter, all of those kind of cooking things. They're also very popular at coffee bar areas. This is a dishwasher drawer. So this is great for supplemental dishwashing. So maybe you think you want 2 dishwashers, but you really need 2 full dishwashers. The dishwasher drawer is fantastic. It can go in a bar area. It's perfect for overflow glasses, dishes. I also had a couple, they only got a dishwasher drawer at a small apartment in the city, and just the 2 of them. They didn't need a full one. They don't want to unload it. So it's nice to know that these products exist so that you can really educate your client and give them what they need. This is a wine refrigerator. This is also a little bit tricky. So because this is a dedicated wine, this is going to have zones. So it'll be zoned for red and it'll be zoned for white. This is not to be confused with a beverage center, which is completely different. A beverage center is essentially an under-counter refrigerator. So it can handle, I like a beverage center unless you really need the wine refrigeration, because beverage center, you can put not just beer, wine, juice drinks, but you can also, if you need to, in a pinch, put a cheese tray in there, or it can be used for extra refrigeration. So I shouldn't say a little, they're much more versatile. Okay, this is a warming drawer. Some of you might have it. This is a nice to have, depends on how much you would use it or entertain. This is very popular. This is a steam oven, not to be confused with a microwave. Steam ovens, this is where kitchens are trending. So this kind of goes with the induction. Steam ovens are now taking the place of a second oven. It's a clean cooking method. So you cook with steam, and cooking is, you can cook vegetables, you can bake a cake, you can cook chicken in there. It's faster cooking and it's clean. So you're not heating up a whole second oven. I've had people that use this instead of a microwave. It's not as fast as a microwave, but it is a very clean way of cooking. So a lot of people are getting the steam ovens. And this is very popular. Someday I would love to have. This is a coffee cappuccino maker. I think we've probably done 10 of these in our last, 12 kitchens. This is bringing your favorite barista home. These are not inexpensive, but if you go out for coffee every day, this is going to pay for itself pretty quickly. This is a Miele. They're fantastic. So coffee makers are really big. So again, appliances you need to know so that you can plan, and it's great to educate your customer on what's available. So tips for planning a successful kitchen. Appliances drive the design. Be mindful of pathways. So this is really important. You'll see in this kitchen, we show our door swings. So this is a range top, so there's no door swing. You'll see that we have the ovens. Now here, and I love this example, we have what I call as an appliance collision. And my client said, this is the dishwasher and this is the microwave drawer. She insisted that this is where the microwave drawer went. We discussed it. She said these doors would never be open at the same time. This kitchen works well for her. But this is very important. You want to make sure that when these doors are open, you can still walk past. This is something I think people overlook, and I've seen that a lot. And you also never want to open this door and it hits your island. So assume nothing, plan for everything. So all of these dimensions, you need to know everything. You need to know center lines. You need to know the depths of your cabinets. You need to know what's happening with your electrical, with your crown molding. So it's really, there's a lot that goes into planning a successful kitchen. Creative corners. Corners can be really tricky. I don't like the angled cabinets. I think they're really dated. A lazy Susan is a bunch of wasted space. So one solution that I have been using for a very long time is a shallow depth cabinet here. So this one's 10 inches deep. We increased this one to, I think it's 14 and 14. So they're able to open this. This can also be open shelves for cookbooks, which adds aesthetic and color. This is a great way to address the corner where they can actually access it. And it also creates a really nice undulation with your crown molding. So this achieves a lot. On the base, if I can't fit a lazy, or I'm sorry, not a lazy Susan, we usually kill the corner. So corner cabinets, most people don't want a blind cabinet unless they are really tight on space. So we maximize the corner, bring the cabinets as far down the end as we can, leaving room for fillers because you got to be able to open the door. And then this just becomes dead space. Trust your own measurements. I always do my own measurements. I would never trust anyone else's, regardless if I have architectural plans or if my clients took them, God forbid. Do your own measuring. It's peace of mind. Consider all surfaces and materials. So you want to make sure that if your client is asking for marble and they have 4 little kids and you like to cook a lot, you might want to reconsider marble. If they're insisting on marble, make sure that they're educated and they know all that there is to go with marble. And invest in 3D software. If you are really serious about planning kitchens, you'll see, you've seen that the 3D software is extremely valuable. It's been a great tool in helping people visualize. So this is that kitchen that I just showed you in plan. So this is that corner. You can see how nicely the crown molding is. And then we planned accordingly for the lighting to make sure that that is in the right spot. These are the spice and utensil pullouts. This is that shallow storage on the ends. So zoned, and it works. Bar area over here. Common mistakes. So these are the appliance collisions, not showing those doors. Tight walkways. You always want, minimum is 36 per the National Kitchen and Bath Association. So it depends on the space that you have. I like to leave 42 between countertops. 48 might even be too much space in between a cooking surface and an island. You never want to take more than 1.5 steps. So if you have to take 2 full steps, it's too far. But behind an island, you want 48 because 48, technically 2 people can walk behind. 60 is really your golden number there. It depends on space. So you have to talk to your clients. When I go on job sites, I tape everything out on the floor, or I do it in marker before the cabinets ever arrive so they can see exactly how things are going to lay out, and we can make adjustments prior to the kitchen going in. Plan for outlets. Per code, islands have to have 2 outlets on either side. You want to ask people if they want USB ports. A lot of times we do plug molding underneath of the cabinet so it doesn't ruin our beautiful backsplash. Client sign-offs. Prior to ordering anything, the client must sign off on the drawings. This is going to protect you and it's going to protect your client. And again, you assume nothing. So ask all the questions, dimension, detail everything. Don't ever assume that the contractor knows what's going on, because most of the time they don't read your mind. So if you think something's common knowledge about whatever you're planning in the kitchen, think again. You have to make things crystal clear for your client and the contractor. The future of kitchens. So this is that coffee bar in the first kitchen that you can see here. So we had outlets all over the place. These doors slide open. It's really organized. They've got extra trash, beverage. This is where kitchens are going. People want this. They want a place, even if it's not for your coffee, they want a place when people come over that you can shove stuff. I want to be able to shove my mail somewhere and close the doors. You want places that your guests can help themselves without kind of interrupting you. So this is really, kitchens are evolving. Windows, we're getting away from a lot of wall cabinets. In this kitchen, we have, I think, 2 wall cabinets. People want natural light. So as much as we can add windows and light, and storage is going underneath. So this is more ergonomic. I always think of my mother-in-law is very short and I'm very tall, and she can't reach anything in her kitchen. And I just think all of us at some time or another are going to get older, and it is very hard to reach overhead. So we try and do as much under base cabinets as possible. And it's definitely a shift in thinking, especially to put your glassware and plates. But this is where kitchens are going. We're lightening things up. We don't want the walls to be full of heavy cabinets if we can avoid it. So ergonomics, family living, natural light, this is where kitchens are going. And that's it. I thank you all for being here. I hope this was informative, and I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Great, thanks so much, Liz. There is a question back in the chat. I don't know, did you address the one about the farmhouse sink?
Oh, no, I just saw that. So this is just like the refrigerator answer. Farmhouse sinks are very personal. I don't think that they'll ever go away. And what's really interesting is people that have had farmhouse sinks, they want to change. So they'll get an undermount and vice versa. And it also depends on the house. If you have we're working on some actual farmhouses, we're going to give them a farmhouse sink. So very, very personal. They're not going anywhere. Some people will say that they're out of style. I think that's a personal opinion. They've been around a long time and I don't see them going away.
Feel free to unmute yourself, or if you prefer, type your question, comment in the chat. There we go.
Cooktop on our center island. Yes, you need a hood over your island. Yeah. It has to vent somewhere unless you live in the islands and you have natural breezes. So in places like Hawaii, maybe even California, you can get away with not having ventilation, but in Pennsylvania, you have to have ventilation. And yes, I generally put the sink under a window if we can. It's always, you spend a lot of time at the sink. And we try to get sinks out of the island as much as possible because you want that uninterrupted surface. So islands are so often used for baking. People are sitting there having cocktails, eating dinner, doing homework. You don't want wet surface if you don't have to.
Just another question, instead of typing it in, I'll ask. I've seen a couple of the islands that on one end it's a little bit more storage, and the other end it feels more like like a table.
I'm going to take you back. Yep. Oh, hang on a second. Yes, keep asking.
Yeah. So is it, when I see those in the remodel that I'm hoping to do, we're probably not going to have room for a dining room table. And so we want to be able to utilize the island. Is it okay then to have the seating all around there? Because I'm so used to eating at a dining room table. I like to see everybody. And, you know, generally at an island, you're kind of in a row.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's great. So in this picture, that's actually, I think, the ideal scenario for an island, because so here we have you have to have a lot of space. So this end is all storage. It wraps around the whole thing. And then this actually comfortably seats 6. So this is where they eat most of their meals. They have 4 kids and it works. So if you can do it, good for you.
And you said 42 inches between like the stove, the meal prep, and the island.
Yes.
Okay.
I've had people argue with me on this. And in the end, it's typically 42. 48, unless they're larger people. So this, you got to know yourself, you got to know who you're working with, but 48 is, it's just a little bit too far. So I would tape that out and really think about it. But any common areas, you want 48 or more. 48 is minimum. Oh, merging old with new. I love merging old with new. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think what, can you expand on that a little bit more about maybe what the old pieces are?
Sure. So in the kitchen in the house that we've only been here for a month, so we're still figuring everything out. The kitchen is in the oldest part of the home, which was the log cabin. So on the one wall, you still have that log cabin, like the wood with the mortar in between. So what you would think of the log cabin with the old windows, and that faces the front of the house, and you know, the old wood floors and everything. And the kitchen was updated in the 70s, but it is very dated and very, very, very small with like a peninsula, like a little L-shaped kitchen. And so it's a large space, and we're struggling with, do we make the whole space kitchen, or do we keep the little kitchen and the dining area in the kitchen? So it's a weird space, and everyone that comes in says, oh, this is going to be a challenge. So we're just trying to figure out, so we want to keep the old because that's why we bought the house, because we love the character and charm, but recognize that a family of 4 that has a 23-inch oven from the 70s and a dishwasher from the 70s doesn't really work.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if you are open to keeping the old materials that are more permanent. So maybe the floors and those stone walls, but the rest of it sounds like you would just be keeping it just to keep it. It's not, doesn't sound like it's all that charming or that it's working for you. So I think
that's not.
Yeah. So I think it's got to work for you. So it sounds like maybe opening it up, and you can still make things. There's some great companies, especially the Amish, that can make things that are kind of an homage to the home. So you don't have to put shiny new cabinets in there, I guess is my.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's what I meant with the old with the new. Like, how do you enhance the character, and when you modernize the other aspects, not take away from it so they're in conflict with each other? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we've done it. We did a farmhouse a couple years ago, and we stuck with materials that would have been used back then. So while they were all new, we still did dark woods. We had reclaimed floors. We didn't panel we didn't panel things because stainless steel felt a little bit more true to that house.
Right.
So they had a farmhouse sink because it is a huge farm. So I think people are going to have all kinds of opinions, but I think you have to really look back at history, and it can be new, but the materials should probably be in line with it. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Wood countertops. I mean, that kind of thing.
There's a question in the chat. Yeah, the first part of that question is a couple of posts up about white.
Okay. Oh, white. Yeah. Okay. White will always be popular forever. I've been doing this, like I said, for almost 20 years. I'm still doing white kitchens. But what changes in a white kitchen is the hardware. The door styles are changing a lot. So really, you'll see, like in this picture, we're not doing raised panels so much anymore. The paneling, it's getting thinner, it's getting a little bit more sleek, and hardware changes a lot. So hardware is kind of the jewelry of the kitchen. wood is coming back in a big way. So there's all kinds of wood, dark, not cherry. Cherry may have seen its day for a while, but it's the oaks, maple is still really big. Walnut, we're doing a lot of walnut. So things are warming up, not as sterile. And gray, the light gray kitchens are really on their way out. So I would hesitate if you're loving the light grays. I think that's going to be the almond cabinets of the 70s. How to get panels. So your dishwasher would have to be panel ready. You buy it that way. So you cannot just panel any dishwasher. So you'd probably have to look up the specs on your dishwasher and see if you can actually add a panel to it.
There's a question a little bit up about island widths.
Missed that one. Oh, typical, oh boy. Well, 36 is kind of your minimum. So, and I base that number, your cabinet is 24 inches deep, approximately. And then you would need at least a 12-inch overhang for somebody to sit there. So that's how we get to 36. You can always modify the depth of the cabinet if you want to get a little bit more knee space, but 36 is kind of your minimum width for an island. And then length, when you're planning, you have to be really careful with the material of your countertop. So if you are getting stone or quartz, most of them only come, I think 132 inches is max. So a lot of people don't want to seam, or they don't want to buy 2 slabs of material. So those two, they go hand in hand. So be mindful of your countertop material.
All right, any further questions? If not, thanks so much, Liz. Great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You all have been such a great audience. Feel free to reach out. I have my...
Yeah, I put your contact info in the chat.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. This has been the highlight of my day. So I appreciate all of you for coming.
Appreciate it, Liz. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye-bye.